Welcome to the Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast with Forrest Kelly.
I get a lot of voicemails like you do. Wrong numbers, wine questions, the occasional telemarketer promising me a cruise to nowhere, sour grapes blowing up my phone wanting more airtime. But this voicemail stopped me in my tracks. Wait, did he just say former bass player for the rock group Italian wine importer, private chef, and he takes people on vacations? This guy sounds like Anthony Bourdain meets Keith Richards meets Stanley Tucci. Well, there you go. And just like that, from my inbox into this episode of the Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast. But here's the twist. He didn't even start playing an instrument until he was almost 20 years old. He went from dry cleaning to dive bars and stadiums, from strings to stemware, and somewhere along the way, he emailed me back a voicemail with a live guitar solo attached. So without further ado, this is not just a story about wine. This is about taking a shot, betting on yourself, and answering the call.
Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast.
Hey, Forrest. Just letting you know I'm checking out your podcast on Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast. Pretty cool stuff. You might be interested in what I do. I am a Italian wine importer, a private chef. I take people on vacation, and I used to be the bass player in the rock band Bunny in the early 90s. I think it could make a good story for your show. If you're interested at all, hit me back, and look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, this is Paul Cullen, personal chef, sommelier, travel guide. I have a nonprofit called Paul Cares, and I started listening to your podcast, and I really dug what you were doing. Thought it would be really cool to be on your show.
I had some fun with the voicemail that I sent. I went in the studio and I cut up some stuff and I put it together and I sent it to Paul. I thought I was doing pretty good. And then you sent something back. You put an acoustic version of a song. You upped the ante on sending the voicemail back. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, I actually did it live. I just grabbed my guitar, and because, I got yours, I'm like, oh, wow, he's got music in the background. Well, I'm just going to freaking play for him.
Yeah, you played that. And then I said, okay, I got to get this guy on the show because you're so diverse. Let's go back to your childhood or college or wherever. Where was an inspirational time that you can really look back now at this age and say, that was a critical point that I made that trek?
Well, in high school, I was a star athlete in basketball, soccer, and tennis. Even though music was my love, I went to so many concerts. I mean, I saw so many. One of them, my favorites, was Van Halen's first tour with Montrose, with Sammy Hagar, and then Journey's first tour with Steve Perry. And that was just one of the best ever. But, I didn't have a time to play an instrument during that time period because I played sports all year round, basically. And then I moved from Buffalo. That's where I'm from. I moved from Buffalo to Fort Myers the day after I graduated high school to help my parents open a business. And it was a dry cleaning business. We knew nothing about it, but we dug in and made it successful. But in the meantime, I was thinking, I don't want to be in the dry cleaning business. At 19, 20 years old, I already had that thought. And I said, you know what? I love music so much, I'm going to pick up guitar. I picked it up for a brief moment, and then I met who was going to be my guitar teacher, Stacy Boyd. And right before I was going to start lessons with him, he said, Paul, I've been thinking, he goes, you should probably play bass because there's not a lot of bass players out there, and not a lot of good ones, especially. So he loved my work ethic and my enthusiasm, and he turned me on to some great bass players like Jaco Pastorius from Weather Report and Stanley Clarke. And of course, I knew Geddy Lee from Rush. And then, about 6 months later, I was playing country music, making $350 a week.
$350 a week? You thought you were the richest guy on the planet, didn't you?
It was way more than I was making in the dry cleaning business, that's for sure. Plus, there was women and drinking and partying, and can't say what all that partying was, but I was having a blast, So yeah, I did that, and I just went from band to band. I barely had any time off. So if I got a better gig, I jumped on with another band, or if a band just disbanded, I just went and found another band. And for the first 3 years, I played almost, every week. And I would leave a band on Saturday in Indiana and join a new one in Memphis on Tuesday, and then one of that band specifically was the Kids. And the next thing I knew, I was in Alaska playing. So it was like the first 3 years was just insane.
What an adventure, and what a groundwork to hone your craft in different environments.
Oh, for sure. But I just kept playing. I had my head down, knowing that I didn't start playing an instrument until I was 20 years old. I had a lot of catching up to do. So I just dove in, and I'd be practicing during the day and then playing at night. I eat, slept, and drank drank bass guitar. You know, and it all worked out really well for me.
Were your parents a little bit disappointed that you didn't want to go into the dry cleaning business?
Oh, my dad was really upset because he wanted me to take it over when he retired. And I'm like, Dad, sorry, I can't do that. You know, my mom was pretty supportive. As of now also, well, she passed away 16 years ago, but she, you know, would have been really proud of, you know, where I am today being a private chef and all.
Yeah, it's like, Dad, I've got another thing to be known for. I don't know what it is yet, but it's not going to be 1 hour Martinizing.
Right. And yeah, exactly. And he, you know, of course, you know, the aha moment for him is when he saw me play in front of 12,000 people, you know, and I looked over at him and he was on the side of the stage and the tears were, you know, rolling down his cheeks. So I think he was okay with my decision.
The Best 5 Minute Wine Podcast.
Don't forget my favorite part.
Please like and follow. Oh,